James, finally you can write an email to someone.
We did this for last year.
They exchanged keys last year. Yeah.
Summer of 11.
Yeah.
Okay, hello. So my name is Frank Sayano, and this is, I should have put those posts at Pico once a year. This is a job ad, really. There's a postdoc opening in my group with me at Cambridge. The problem of getting rid of passwords is one that several of us are tackling, and it's going to be really hard. And on Wednesday, I have a double slot talk to tell you why I think it's going to be really, really hard. But imagine that you have the luxury of starting from zero, not having to be compatible with the passwords that are developed. How would you do it right? Now, it's a bunch of very clever people, and I want to see if someone to work with me on this problem. Last year I told you how I plan to fix this for those of you who were at Password 11 using a gadget called Pico. And since then, I have managed to attract some very competitive funding from the European Research Council. So these ideas have somehow been validated by my peers, and they have backed it with actual money for me to be able to pay someone's salary. So if you want me to pay your salary, then please apply for this job. My job now is to recruit the best possible people for building a team that will make this area. And this team is not just going to be a team of security, software experts, geeks, and all that stuff. It's going to have people with expertise in interaction design, experimental psychology, real human beings, as opposed to just people with long beards like us, people who build hardware. And I have money for hiring 4 postdocs, and I'd like to have a cloud of PhD students around all that. So what we are going to do is to prototype and prototype and prototype some more. Build it, give it to real people, and see how real people react, because real human beings are different life forms from us. We have to understand how they work. It's not just we can apply what happens to us.
You're still on Earth, even though you are in Norway, Frank. It's, yeah.
And so we have to understand what we think would be a great idea. It doesn't actually work with real human beings, and then redesign it, and with enough humility to just pay attention to what does work in the real world. And keep going for that, and we have money to keep going for a bit. And hopefully by the end of that we will have something that real humans will be happy to use. And what I gave to you last year, my vision about Pico, is not really what I expect we will deliver at the end. It's just the starting point. And I hope I will be proved wrong and say, look, this was all rubbish, but in learning why it was rubbish, we can build a much better one. So we will be driven by what works for real people. And that tiny URL at the top is the job ad for Pico. The official one is over here. The other tiny URL Pico paper is the paper of what I gave you last year. And this first post that I am fishing for out of the 4 ones that I will eventually be putting up is for a security software person, so it's appropriate for this audience. Would you like to make a dent in the universe? Would you like to improve the life of anyone who has to remember complex passwords today? You could be reaching out to billions plus people. And one of the top universities in the world, the University of Cambridge. And with great responsibility for your own work, you're going to be part of the team that makes this a reality. Then tell me what you think the greatest challenges are for Pico, and tell me how you would address it. How you would address them if you join this team. And I am recruiting for the next month. Thank you very much. That's my commercial. I have another commercial going on as well, because for my sins, I am the co-chair of this workshop on research for insider threat. Now, since a substantial proportion of people here are about cracking the password file of their company, then insider threat might be something that you have some expertise. So if you have some experiences you're willing to share, we are taking papers until the 4th of February. That's you're with my colleague from CM.
But then you're looking for academic papers, not for security presentations.
Well, we'll listen to anything. There's also opportunity to do short papers, maybe posters, who knows. But we haven't really put out a call for posters. We'll entertain any suggestions for interesting stuff. Yes.
But I was wondering about your Pico position, because it does sound disturbingly like an actual real project that wants to produce something real, but it's for postdocs only? Or will you accept someone that can also contribute? No, I mean, seriously.
That's the serious dichotomy between us and real human beings, right?
I know, but I mean, is it a research project? Is your focus with what you want to get out of the money? Is it a paper and publication and theoretical understanding? Do you need to be a postdoc, or could you conceivably contribute if you're not on that level? I mean, would it be a point for anyone that does not have a doctorate to apply, or would that be interesting at all? Or
So, my plan is to produce something that, I mean, if I go back, I started off by saying that I think it would be very difficult to get rid of passwords. And even if we build the Pico that I have in mind, or something even better than that, but with the same goals, it would be really difficult for this thing, even when it exists, to displace passwords. And I'll say more on why when I give my talk on Wednesday. Now, having said that, I believe that passwords are terrible, both from a usability viewpoint and from a security viewpoint. I think many of us share this feeling. And that at some point, as the number of things with which we have to interact with passwords grows and grows and grows and grows, we'll have to say, well, that just doesn't work. No matter how much we have invested in compatibility, also, at some point it won't work. Maybe it won't be now, maybe it won't be in 5 years, maybe it will be in 20 years' time. At some point, we're going to have to find a replacement. So I want to start now thinking about what could be something that would replace it if we were able to just wipe the whole slate clean, which we can't right now. I admit we can't. Okay. Now at that point, I want to have something that is demonstrably working, except for the compatibility problem, which is a big one. And so I want, at the end of this project, to deliver a working prototype that could be a kind of blueprint, a kind of standard, an RFC if you wanted, but with a real proof. You know, you can try this out. We have tried it with real people and it does work. So I do want people who are, hacking code, building things, doing stuff for real. And I have the money to hire the postdocs. I will raise the money. It's always easier to get more money if you've got $1 million in the bank. So with that behind me, I can go and shake the hat at other entities to say, will you fund this guy to make a PhD with me or something like that. And this is what I already have funding for, but I hope to expand this group to something more. And if someone wants to contribute externally without being my employee, that's also something that, of course, we'd be interested in to some extent. I mean, I'm making it easy by making all my intellectual property open. I'm not going to patent anything, I've already declared that. So it's going to be quite easy to work with me on that. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, well, actually, I was more interested in I am obviously undereducated here, not exceptionally so. There are some that are worse off than me, but perhaps more formally qualified in some ways. So I was kind of wondering, because the postdoc is a very specific position.
Yes.
But what is there for the rest of us? Can we contribute? Do you want us to contribute?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes. By all means.
yeah.
Yes.
Experience, hacker. Can I apply? Yeah.
I like hackers. So the point is that I could have applied for money for just PhD students, for example, right? And having supervised a number of PhD students, I know that the PhD student gets excited about something, then halfway through, 1 or 2 years in, says, actually, the thing I'd like to do is something else. And I want to leave them this freedom to pursue the thing that they think they're going to do something with. Now, if I'm going to deliver something at the end of this, I need to be able to somehow steer the research direction on the people who are working on that a little bit more. That's what I'm looking for postdocs, besides the experience. Yes?
For those of us who weren't here last year, could you do like a 20-second summary of what the Pico thing is?
All right, okay. 20-second summary of Pico. Passwords are terrible, right?
Passwords are gone, and passwords are...
A hardware device that will authenticate you to almost anything as long as the service provider implements support.
Super.
Right, so...
Yeah, that was 7 seconds.
Say again?
I said it's a hardware device that you have constructed at the moment on paper, and that will authenticate you against anything as long as the service provider supports it.
Right, so, something you know, something you are, something you have, this is going to be a something you have. In fact, one of my undergraduate students did a prototype of that on a mobile phone last year, on an Android phone. But I don't want it to be part of the Android phone, this was also mentioned today, because your Android phone runs a number of other things, and I don't want these other things to be near all my credentials. So I want to dedicate the device to that. Anyway, we'll talk about this kind of thing. What
Okay.
happens if you're a token?
Okay. No. Talk to me afterwards. Talk to me afterwards. Done. Thank you, Frank.
Right?